On my wedding day, I arrived at the Chen estate in my bridal carriage, ready to become the wife of Chen Wei, heir to the Marquis of Dongyang. But before I could step through the gates, Chen Wei grabbed my arm. "Wait, you," he said through my veil. I saw another woman in wedding attire standing beside him. "My cousin Mei is carrying my child. I cannot let my firstborn son be illegitimate. She'll enter the household with you today as an equal wife. You'll be sisters from now on." The elaborate bridal carriage, the jeweled headpiece, the silk gown embroidered with gold thread, these were the privileges of a legitimate wife. I stopped walking, tore off my veil, and stared at him. "When your family came to ask for my hand, we had an agreement. You could only take a concubine if we had no children by the time you turned 40. Now you're breaking your word. What do you call this?" Chen Wei's expression hardened. "Mei is not a concubine. She's a co-wife. The Chen family hasn't broken any promises." I smiled coldly. Since he broke his word first, he couldn't blame me for what came next. And his family could forget about the 500,000 taels of dowry silver they desperately needed to save themselves from financial ruin. I threw my veil on the ground. "Guards, take my dowry back to the Lin estate. I'm not marrying this man." Chen Wei froze, then grabbed my wrist. "Lin Yu, what are you doing? You've already left your carriage. You're standing at the gates of my family's manor. This is no time for games." I pulled away from him. "Games? Why would I marry you? You're installing your cousin as an equal wife the moment I arrive. Are you counting on the fact that I've come this far and have no choice but to proceed?" "You're mistaken, Chen Wei." His face went pale with fury. "How did the Lin family raise you? How dare you speak to your husband this way? What happened to all your education about wifely virtues and proper conduct?" I shot back, "You've read all the books of wisdom and learned nothing. Yet you question my virtue? A gentleman keeps his word. When you proposed, you promised you'd only take a concubine if we were childless at 40. Now you pulled a stunt before I've even crossed the threshold. If you can break your promises, why can't I?" "Cousin?" A timid voice interrupted. It was Mei, Chen Wei's cousin, hidden behind a red veil and supported by a maid. She stepped forward and bowed to me through the veil. "Sister, this is my fault. I only beg you to accept me. I seek only a place to stay and will never compete with you for favor." She bowed deeply again, and her veil slipped off, causing gasps from the gathered crowd. Mei's delicate, beautiful face was revealed, her eyes brimming with tears. She looked like someone who desperately needed protection. Chen Wei gritted his teeth. "Mei is being so humble. Isn't that enough for you? Must you humiliate her in front of everyone just to prove you're the heir's wife? Does that make you feel powerful?" Just then, Lady Chen, Chen Wei's mother, rushed out from inside the gates. "What's happening? The auspicious hour is almost here. Why haven't you come inside yet?" Seeing Mei, she immediately went to her side in concern. "Oh my dear, we can't tire out my precious grandchild. Quickly, help the young lady inside." I laughed coldly. "Chen Wei, since you already have a wife, there's no need to trouble yourself with me. Our engagement is cancelled. From now on, we go our separate ways and have nothing to do with each other." Lady Chen glared at me viciously. "Lin Yu, I agreed to this match because I thought you were well-mannered. But you can't even tolerate your husband having children with another woman? A jealous wife like you would be divorced in any other household, yet you dare put on airs here?" My attendant stepped forward boldly. "Madam, our miss hasn't even entered your Qin gates yet. What's this talk of divorce? She's still a Lin." Chen Wei's face turned red with anger. "Lin Yu, I've given you enough face. Don't be ungrateful. Making a scene about returning home on our wedding day, do you think the Lin family will take you back? Who will marry you after this? You'll be lucky to become a concubine in the Dongyang Marquis manor. Even if you beg me on your knees, don't expect me to agree again." I laughed. "The Lin family beg you? Just wait until my father returns. When he learns this marriage fell through, he'll break your legs. I turned away decisively. Everyone here, please witness this. Chen Wei, heir to the Marquis of Dongyang, broke his promise first on our wedding day before the ceremony was complete. He tried to force me to accept his cousin as an equal wife, and she's already pregnant out of wedlock with his child. Since Chen Wei has long loved his cousin, I, Lin Yu, will graciously step aside and cancel this marriage. From this moment, the Lin family has nothing to do with the Chen estate. I took the marriage contract from my maid's hand and tore it into pieces right there. The scraps scattered in the wind. Lin Yu, you dare? Chen Wei roared. I climbed back into the bridal carriage. Take my dowry. We're returning to the Lin home. The crowd had erupted into chaos. This Chen heir is going too far. The bride was about to enter and he says he wants an equal wife. He's bullying the Lin family. Well, the Lins are just imperial merchants after all. How can merchants fight against nobles? Isn't Mei the cousin staying at the Chen manor? How did she end up pregnant? Seeing that I was about to take my dowry worth 10 million back home, Lady Chen panicked. Quick, stop her. At worst, we'll make her the primary wife and let Mei be a concubine. We can elevate Mei to equal wife after she gives birth. Once she is married, won't she be at our mercy anyway? At Chen Wei's command, the Chen servants swarmed to block my path. I let out a cold laugh. I'm the only daughter of the Lin family. Because of our immense wealth, I've had highly trained guards protecting me since childhood. Before Chen Wei's men could get close, my guards had already formed a barrier around me. Chen Wei rushed forward and reached for me. I swung my hand and slapped him across the face. Chen Wei, you broke your word first, and now you want to force yourself on me? Under the emperor's own rule, aren't you afraid of punishment? Chen Wei burned with rage. Lin Yu, no matter whose family you marry into, men having multiple wives and concubines is inevitable. Why put on such an act? Do you think just because you have a large dowry, you can control your husband's family? You truly are a merchant's daughter, reeking of copper coins. Mei threw herself toward Chen Wei after seeing him get hit. Cousin. Then she looked at me with red eyes. Sister, why are you so angry? Don't you know the reason cousin wants to marry me? If it weren't for the fact that your body is damaged and you can't bear children, cousin wouldn't have kept it secret for the sake of your reputation. Do you really want to end the Marquis family line? I'm carrying cousin's child. When I give birth to the eldest legitimate son and the household has an heir, you as the madam can finally be at ease, can't you? As soon as the words left her mouth, I froze, looking at Chen Wei in disbelief until he lowered his head. My eyes suddenly stung. 2 years ago, Chen Wei fell into the river outside the Lin family manor. I happened to be playing by the riverside and seeing that he was about to be swept away by the current, thinking that saving a life is better than building a 7-story pagoda, I jumped right in. Because it was the dead of winter, I also caught a chill and lay in bed for a full 2 months before recovering. When the doctor examined me, he said my body had suffered from the cold and that bearing children in the future might be somewhat difficult, but he never said I couldn't bear children. The Chen family took notice of me because of this. Knowing I was the Lin family's legitimate daughter, they even came to propose marriage under the guise of repaying a life-saving debt. First, they gained the good name of repaying a kindness. Second, the Lin family was the richest in the dynasty, so my dowry could conveniently solve the crisis the Chen family was facing. Now, Mei is publicly twisting the truth, claiming I can't bear children. My eyes reddened as I looked at Chen Wei. His gaze shifted, afraid to look me in the eye, as he just mumbled, I didn't mean to tell her. I just said she should have a few more children so eventually one could be adopted by you to be raised at your knee. I married her for your own good. If you're willing, Mei said she's willing to put her eldest son under your name and have him recognize you as his legitimate mother. How does that sound? With a smack, I slapped him across the face again. Your Chen family really has some nerve. If I'd known you were such a heartless bastard, I should have just let you drown in that river. I never would have jumped in to save you. You absolutely make me sick. I turned to get into the sedan, but he grabbed my sleeve again. "You, stop making a scene." With a swift motion, I drew a guard's sword, and with a rip, I sliced the sleeve of my wedding dress right off. "Lift the sedan, take me home." When the bridal sedan returned to the Lin house, the guests had not yet dispersed. My parents turned pale with shock when they saw me enter in my wedding dress, followed by the vast dowry procession. What happened? I threw myself into Mother's arms. "Mother, you must stand up for your daughter. The Chen household has gone too far." After hearing the whole story, Father was so angry his face turned livid. "Good. Very good. What a Chen family. Since that is the case, let this marriage be called off. From now on, the affairs of the Chen heir have nothing to do with our Lin family. None of you need to show him any favors on my account. Ever since I got engaged to Chen Wei, Father has spent silver like water to manage connections in the court for him and pave the way for his career. Yet Chen Wei actually thought it was his own ability that got him promoted several times in 2 years. Little did he know that this was all a path paved by Father with silver. Even the other people from the Chen household didn't have to pay when shopping at the Lin family stores. But who would have thought it would just feed their arrogance, and now they're acting all high and mighty. The Chen family is on its last legs and their descendants are all good-for-nothings. Their ruin is just a matter of time. Since our Lin family could lift them up to the clouds, we can also make them fall into the mud. The next day, the news that the heir to the Marquis of Dongyang gave the Lin family's daughter a hard time on his wedding day, publicly humiliated the bride, and secretly got his cousin pregnant spread through the capital as if it had grown wings. The Lin family are imperial merchants and filthy rich. If I hadn't been engaged to Chen Wei, the people coming to the Lin family to propose would probably have worn down the threshold. After all, who doesn't love shiny white silver? Sure enough, as soon as the news got out, invitations asking Mother to tea and flower viewings piled up on the table the next day, and there was no shortage of the capital's powerful elite among them. Since I was about to marry into the Marquis' manor, to prepare for a rainy day, I had long since bribed some informants in the Chen manor. News spread that after I left, Chen Wei went ahead and tied the knot with that Mei. Lady Chen even said with a scornful look, "Where, Mother absolutely forbids you from going to the Lin family to coax that Lin Yu. She thinks just because her dowry is generous, she can control our Marquis manor. Ha, I'm going to let her know that in a high-ranking noble family, a merchant's daughter is only fit to be a concubine. Letting her be an equal wife is already giving the Lin family face. Wait until your father returns and we'll go over to demand an explanation. If she doesn't double the dowry by then, she can forget about ever entering the gates of our manor again." Mei also chimed in to persuade, "Husband, sister is barren. This news has already spread. Who would marry her in the future? She has nowhere else to go but to marry you. Mother is right. Give her the cold shoulder for a few days to break her spirit and let her know that her husband is her heaven." Chen Wei thought that made sense and felt completely at ease, spending time being all lovey-dovey with Mei. Unexpectedly, the Marquis of Dongyang rushed back to the capital 2 months later. Holding the secret letter sent to him from within the capital, he gave Chen Wei a vicious kick as soon as he stepped through the door. "You idiot. I went to such great lengths to secure this marriage for our family. The bride was practically crossing the threshold, and you actually screwed it up. You take some gifts right now. Whether you go to apologize or sweet-talk her, just marry her and bring her home immediately." Lady Chen screamed, "My lord, why did you hit Wei? That Lin Yu disrespects her elders, disobeys her husband, and lacks any virtue. Allowing someone like her in as a concubine is already flattering her." The Marquis was furious. "Shut up. An indulgent mother ruins her son. Do you think the Lin family is a pushover? Imperial merchants. The Lin family's lady is His Majesty's newly appointed noble consort. Countless people are waiting to rope in the Lin family. As long as Wei marries her, his meteoric rise will be just around the corner." Lady Chen muttered, "But she's a merchant's daughter. How can she be taken as the principal wife?" The Marquis's face was livid. "Don't mention the words merchant woman to me again. She's your son's lifesaver, and you'd have a lifesaver be a concubine. Does our manor still want any face? Wait until she's married in, the money is in hand, and the manor's deficit is filled. Then have Her Highness in the palace whisper a few words. What need is there to worry about Weir's future? Simply foolish. What are your brains filled with? A wonderful matter has been ruined by you just like that. You mother and son go apologize immediately and beg for her to come back. Also that is she qualified to be an equal wife? You have to know the marriage contract states the Lin daughter is the legal wife. How could you do such a thing on the wedding day by offending the nobles in the palace? Do you think the Chen family isn't dying fast enough? When you go to the Lin family, bring Mei along. Tell the Lin family that this woman is merely a concubine to set their minds at ease. Lady Chen and Chen Wei were reprimanded by the Marquis, breaking out in cold sweats from fear, and immediately prepared gifts to head to the Lin family. As soon as Chen Wei entered the Lin house, he knelt before me with a thud. It's all my fault. I've come to apologize to you. Lady Chen also took my hand. Wei was drunk that day. That's why he did such a foolish thing. Don't blame him. He knew he was wrong once he sobered up. The shock made him fall seriously ill. He only got better yesterday and came to apologize to you. Look, these gifts were all personally chosen by Wei. He said he'd pick another lucky day to carry you through the door in an 8-bearer sedan chair as his lawful wife. Chen Wei nodded and shuffled on his knees to me. Rest assured that Mei has already been demoted to a concubine. She will absolutely never rank above you. Mei looked at me with red eyes. Elder sister, from now on, little sister will surely honor you as the head and wouldn't dare to overstep again. Father slapped the table. Is the legitimate daughter of my Lin family someone you can marry when you want and discard when you don't? Guards, throw all these things out. Please show the heir and Lady Chen out as well. Our Lin family isn't worthy of climbing up to your Marquis manor. I've already chosen a good husband for my daughter. Chen Wei, go marry someone else. Lady Chen's face darkened. We came here humbling ourselves to apologize. You should know when to quit while you're ahead. Apart from our manor, who else would dare want your daughter? A merchant's daughter and one who can't bear children at that. She's only fit to be a concubine in a noble house. We're giving her the title of a lawful wife purely out of respect for Her Highness. Don't be ungrateful when we're giving you face. We've even demoted Mei, who's carrying our manor's eldest grandson, to a concubine now. What more do you want? Mother, why aren't you keeping Xiao company today? A little child about 2 years old ran over to hug my leg, as cute as a ball of snowy jade. Chen Wei's face went pale. What did she call you? Xiao hugged my leg tightly, looking at Chen Wei. Mother? Chen Wei stood up, his face dark, and moved to slap me across the face. You dare cheat on me behind my back? Lady Chen screamed, you have some nerve, Lin Yu. You hid having a child from our manor and the child is already this big. Do you know that someone like you should be drowned in a pig cage? Now if you want to marry into our manor, don't even dream of entering without a dowry of 1 million taels. Wei, you've been wronged by a girl like this. Being a bed warmer in our manor is enough. She doesn't even deserve the title of a concubine. You're committing marriage fraud. You cheated behind our backs before the wedding and even have a bastard. Guards, seize Lin Yu and this bastard together and drown them in a pig cage for me. The people from the Chen manor immediately surrounded us. Xiao clung tightly to my leg, looking fearfully at Lady Chen and Chen Wei. I comforted the child, but just as I was about to speak, I was interrupted by a cold voice. Who wants to drown this prince's daughter in a pig cage? Walking in leisurely was His Highness Prince Zhao. Dressed in fine brocade and still holding steaming hot pastries in his hand, he looked coldly at Lady Chen. Lady Chen didn't recognize him because Prince Zhao had always been in his fief and rarely returned to the capital. The late princess consort died in childbirth when delivering the princess, so he only had one apple of his eye, which was this little dumpling, Xiao. Prince Zhao brought his daughter, Princess Xiao, back to the capital this time to celebrate the Empress Dowager's birthday. Unexpectedly, the servants weren't watching closely for a moment and let Xiao wander off. She ran into the Lin family's pastry shop, and I picked her up right there. I don't know what was going on with Xiao. The first time she saw me, she hugged my leg and called me mother until Prince Zhao came looking for her. After that day, Xiao would come to the Lin house every day to find me, calling me mother whenever she saw me. Prince Zhao doted on his daughter like his life, and having nothing to do all day, he would bring Xiao to the Lin manor to find me. Xiao always loved calling me mother, which really baffled me. Prince Zhao explained that it might be because Xiaobao's birth mother liked making pastries and always had the sweet scent of pastries on her. Perhaps Xiaobao smelled the scent on me, found it familiar, and mistook me for her mother. At this moment, Prince Zhao looked at the Chen family, saying sternly, "Who are you?" Lady Chen didn't recognize him, pointing at him and jumping up. "Lin Yu, is this the bastard's father? Good, quick, arrest them. If we don't drown you today, the Chen family will lose face." The guards from the Chen manor rushed forward to grab Prince Zhao and me. Prince Zhao shouted sternly, "Presumptuous!" The late Prince Zhao was the Empress Dowager's second legitimate son. But alas, he died young, leaving behind only Prince Zhao as his sole heir. The Empress Dowager doted on this imperial grandson extraordinarily and raised him personally. Because he lost his father while still in swaddling clothes, the Empress Dowager doted on him even more than she loved the crown prince. With such noble imperial lineage, when he let out a violent shout, his royal aura poured forth, startling those guards so much they didn't dare to act. Chen Wei stepped forward. "Why haven't you acted yet? Lin Yu, I originally wanted to leave you some dignity, give you a title, and let you enter the family, but I never expected you to be this kind of person. If we hadn't suddenly come over, I'm afraid we wouldn't have discovered your scandalous affair." Lady Chen started shouting and screaming, even making a scene all the way outside the main gate, drawing the commoners outside to crowd around. "Everyone, come take a look. The Lin family raised this kind of shameless daughter, cheating with a man behind her fiancé's back. And she even gave birth to a bastard daughter. A piece of trash like this still wants to marry into our Chen family. Dream on." Mei fanned the flames from the side. "Sister, since you're betrothed to my husband, how could you betray him and do such a shameful thing? You're disgracing our manor like this. How will you enter the family in the future? Where is the heir supposed to put his face?" The commoners started pointing and whispering. "No way. Miss Lin doesn't look like that kind of person. Yeah, she's usually so well-mannered. Maybe there's been some misunderstanding." Xiaobao had long been scared into crying by Lady Chen's shouting and screaming. "Mama, I'm scared." I picked her up and comforted her. "Xiaobao, don't be scared." Lady Chen pointed at me and shouted, "Did you hear that? That child called her mother. Now the evidence is clear. What do you all think? Shouldn't we drown them in a pig cage?" Prince Zhao laughed. "In all my life, this is the first time I've seen someone say they want to drown me in a pig cage. That's actually fresh. If I hadn't known Prince Zhao for over a month, I wouldn't dare believe that the famous His Highness Prince Zhao is actually someone who loves joining in the fun so much." I looked at him reproachfully. "Your Highness, this is no joking matter." The late-arriving Marquis of Dongyang looked at the Lin family's main gate, which was surrounded by an impenetrable crowd, and squeezed his way in. What happened? As soon as Lady Chen saw the Marquis arrive, she felt she had someone to take charge. Her back straightened instantly and she ordered the servants, "With the Marquis here, are we afraid the Lin family and this wild man will turn the sky upside down? Tie them up and parade them through the streets." The Marquis of Dongyang listened to the commoners chattering about me having a bastard with a wild man. He raised his eyes to look at that wild man and locked eyes with Prince Zhao. The next second, with a thud, the Marquis of Dongyang knelt on the ground, kowtowing in panic. "Your Highness, my wife was blind and failed to recognize your Highness. Please forgive us." His forehead was covered in cold sweat. Immediately he hissed sternly at Lady Chen and Mei, "Hurry up and kneel to ask for forgiveness." This is His Highness Prince Zhao. Lady Chen's face, so arrogant just a moment ago, instantly turned deathly pale. Chen Wei looked ashen and Mei went limp and collapsed onto the ground. The three of them knelt down with a thump and kowtowed desperately. "Spare us, Your Highness. Spare our lives, Your Highness." Cries for mercy rose one after another, and Prince Zhao said nonchalantly, "The Chen family sure puts on a grand display of authority. This prince has certainly witnessed it today. The Marquis really ought to properly discipline his wife and son, lest they cause a major disaster in the future that will be difficult to clean up." The Marquis pressed his head against the ground. "I know I was wrong. I will definitely teach them a good lesson when I return to the manor." Prince Zhao sneered. "You disturbed Miss Lin today. You had better apologize properly to her, lest her reputation be ruined. I fear you cannot afford the consequences." Lady Chen immediately chimed in. "I understand. I will have someone prepare generous gifts right away and offer a humble apology." Then she looked at me. It's all Auntie's fault. I was just too eager to secure the marriage and said the wrong thing. Please spare us." I took a step back. I dare not accept Madam's proposal. My engagement with the heir was cancelled long ago. The Lin family and the Chen family have no further ties. Madam and the heir, please leave." Xiaobao called out in a sweet voice, "Daddy, they're bad people. Xiaobao doesn't like them." Prince Zhao's face turned cold. "The princess has already said she doesn't want to see you. Why haven't you left yet?" The four from the Chen manor left the Lin residence in disgrace, watched and mocked by the crowd. In less time than it takes a stick of incense to burn, the Chen household sent someone over with a dozen boxes of gifts, saying it was to apologize to me and soothe my shock. I waved my hand to tell the servants to accept them, instructing them, "Sell these off and starting tomorrow, distribute porridge outside the estate for 5 days to relieve some poor and suffering people." It can be considered a good deed done by the Chen household. Nowadays, the neighboring prefectures and counties were suffering from floods, and there were quite a few refugees in the capital. Happening upon the Lin residents distributing porridge, they all managed to fill their bellies. Everyone vied to say that Miss Lin is a bodhisattva descended to the world, kind and beautiful. Over the 5 days of distributing porridge, more and more refugees came to drink it. Seeing this, some madams and noble young ladies in the city also followed suit and set up porridge sheds outside their residences, instantly resolving the hardships of many disaster victims. This matter reached the palace, and the emperor was greatly pleased. "Worthy of being a daughter of the Lin family. Beloved consort, your niece is truly excellent. Such good upbringing." My aunt looked at the emperor. Although she was around 30, she looked very young, with a complexion fairer than snow and eyes full of tenderness. She said in a charming voice, "Your concubine's niece is naturally good, but it's a pity she ran into such scoundrels as the Chen family. A few days ago, my sister-in-law entered the palace and cried to me, worried about you's marriage." After speaking, she seemed to be testing the waters. The emperor naturally understood the noble consort's meaning. Taking her hand, he said, "I know you have only this one niece, so naturally you worry that her status as a merchant's daughter will prevent her from making a good match. I shall issue a decree this instant. Attendants, bestow upon the Lin family daughter, Lin Yu, a jade rui scepter, a set of gemstone head ornaments, and a bushel of pearls. She is to be titled County Princess Mingyue as a mark of commendation." I was titled a county princess. The entire Lin family was ecstatic. With this identity as a county princess, we no longer had to fear that my marriage prospects would be left up in the air. Not long after the imperial decree arrived at the Lin family, everyone knew the news. There was an endless stream of people coming to offer congratulations, and Chen Wei rushed over to the Lin house as well. He stopped me in the backyard. I've been reflecting on my mistakes behind closed doors at home. I've thought a lot about it and I know I was wrong. Mother is also preparing to send Mei away to the estate, so she definitely won't bother you anymore. The child she gives birth to will be raised on the estate and later adopted out. He won't take the title of the eldest son. Once we get married, our child will be the legitimate eldest son. As long as you nod, I'll come back to the Lin family tomorrow to present the betrothal gifts again. Now that you're County Princess Mingyue, you're well matched with our manor. Mother and father surely won't object anymore. I looked at the tender, fawning expression on his face, and a wave of nausea rose in my heart. I yanked my hand away. Chen Wei, you think I'm a match for your manor? Yet I don't think you're a match for me. You have concubines before you're even married and an eldest son born of a concubine to boot. I'm a dignified county princess. Why should I lower myself to marry such a person? My Lin family looks down on this sort of marriage. I looked at him with a face full of mockery, exactly the same as how his mother looked at me back then. Just then, the noble ladies admiring flowers in the back garden also came over. Hearing bits and pieces, they covered their mouths and laughed, looking at him with eyes full of disdain. Chen Wei's face flushed red, and he shouted, "Lin Yu, you're unwilling to marry me simply because you've climbed the high branch of Prince Zhao. You claim that marrying me means dealing with an illegitimate eldest son. But if you marry Prince Zhao, aren't you just becoming a stepmother for someone else anyway? Even though you've become a county princess, you still come from a merchant background. Do you really think Prince Zhao would marry you? Stop dreaming. At most, he'd take you as a concubine. Did you actually think you could be his official consort? Why don't you take a look at your own status? A lowly merchant trying to climb into the royal family. Dream on. Let me tell you, besides me, there's no one else in the entire capital willing to marry you. The women of the Lin family are shackled by the word merchant. Even my aunt, who has enjoyed unfailing favor since the day she entered the palace, has been kept down at the rank of consort for a full 10 years because of her lowly birth. I gripped my handkerchief tightly and was just about to retort when I was interrupted. When did this prince ever say that I wanted to marry Miss Lin as a side consort? It was His Highness Prince Zhao, holding Xiaobao in his arms. The color drained from Chen Wei's face as he watched Prince Zhao slowly approach, his aura imposing. The Chen family sure talks big. Aside from you, no one else is willing to marry Miss Lin. Don't you know that since she broke off the engagement with you, the marriage proposals on her desk are nearly overflowing? Not everyone is as blind as your manor. Miss Lin is a well-bred lady from a noble family, virtuous and gentle. This prince fell for her at first sight. I've already informed the Empress Dowager and the Emperor. As long as Miss Lin nods, the marriage can be granted immediately. The noble ladies nearby gasped, covering their mouths as they looked at me and Prince Zhao, their eyes full of surprise. Chen Wei stared blankly at Prince Zhao. But Lin Yu is of lowly birth. How could you be willing to marry her? You might not know yet, but her body is damaged. She can't bear children. Prince Zhao cut him off. Watch your words, Chen Wei. Miss Lin injured her body to save you. Not only are you ungrateful, but you actually use this to threaten your benefactor. Does a scoundrel like you even deserve to inherit the title? A grown man acting like this is truly despicable. After saying this, Prince Zhao motioned to me. Miss Lin, Xiaobao has been making a fuss since early morning about coming to find you, so I'll have to trouble you again today. Xiaobao had already thrown herself into my arms. Mother, father said today he's taking us to Jade Pavilion to have the chrysanthemum feast. There are chrysanthemum cakes and chrysanthemum jelly. I held Xiaobao's hand and walked slowly outside. Yes, I know because I'm the one who opened Jade Pavilion. Also, Xiaobao, you can't call me mother anymore. In the future, your father will find you a real mother. Only a noble lady from a high family can be your mother. Who said that? Prince Zhao suddenly chimed in from behind us, giving me a start. I stared at him wide-eyed. He looked at me quietly. What I said just now is all true. I've already asked your parents for your hand in marriage. Now I'm just waiting for you to nod. After saying that, he lowered his head to look at Xiaobao. Would Xiaobao like Miss Lin to be her mother? Xiaobao blinked her eyes, hugging my leg tightly. She's Xiaobao's mother. My face flushed red. But the doctor said my body probably isn't good for childbearing. He interrupted me. I don't care about that. Having children is a matter of heaven's will. Besides, we still have Xiao. If you're willing to marry me, after the wedding, I'll take you to my fief in Jiangnan, far away from all these troubles. You can also expand the Lin family business to Jiangnan. It's prosperous there, and I'm sure the Lin business can reach even greater heights. I didn't have the heart to interrupt him. The Lin family business had actually expanded to Jiangnan long ago. Xiao saw I wasn't speaking, shook my leg, and asked, Mama, don't you like Xiao? My heart softened. I pinched her little round face. Okay, I'm willing to be Xiaobao's mama. A few days later, the imperial edict naming me princess consort Xiao came down. The main gates of the Lin manor were opened wide to receive the edict, and my aunt also sent close attendants to bestow rewards. The capital was in an uproar. Who could have thought that the Lin family, mere imperial merchants, after producing a noble consort, would actually produce a princess consort, too? 2 months ago, Miss Lin was being humiliated by the heir at the gates of the Chen manor. Yet now, she's turned things around to become the principal wife of Prince Zhao. The Chen family instantly became the laughingstock of the capital. If only the heir had married Miss Lin back then, he'd now be the husband of a county princess and the noble consort's nephew-in-law. He actually gave up Miss Lin for his cousin because he looked down on her low birth. Serves him right. It's too late to regret it now. That May looks like a vixen. She hooked up with her cousin and got pregnant on the sly ages ago. She only got in the door by relying on her child. Back when Lady Chen welcomed May in, she actually had the servants call her the heir's wife. The Chen family really isn't picky, huh? The Marquis of Dongyang was in a frantic state at the manor, flying into a rage at the stack of bills the steward brought. The debts to the palace haven't been cleared yet, and the family properties are just about all pawned off. So how are there still bills from shops outside? The steward replied carefully, My lord, these are all debts the madam and the heir's wife racked up buying things on credit outside. It's the end of the month, so they've all come to collect. Lady Chen snatched the bill. How could we have spent this much? Then pointing at the bill for over 5,000 taels, she shouted, Where did these bills from Jade Pavilion and Golden Phoenix come from? In the past, when we went to make dresses, buy jewelry, and eat, there was never a bill. Why is there one now? The steward wiped the sweat from his forehead. Those shopkeepers said that before, it was because Miss Lin was engaged to the heir, and Miss Lin gave the word that people from the Chen manor were not to be charged for anything they bought. But now that their young lady has no more ties with our manor, this money naturally has to be collected. They also brought out the bills from the previous 2 years, saying it totals 30,000 taels and want our manor to pay it back. If it isn't paid within a month, she'll sue at the magistrate's office. The Marquis's face turned livid, and Lady Chen slumped into her chair. That vicious woman, I knew she was up to no good. She actually dares to ask me for payment. I'm going to take this bill and throw it in her face. The Marquis slammed the table. You shut your mouth. The Lin family has broken off the engagement with our family. Where do you get the nerve to go to their shops and take things? You still have the nerve to go to her door. Do you dare? She's Princess Zhao now. Paying back debts is only right and proper. You know regret now, but why didn't you think of these consequences when you were plotting against her and manipulating her back then? I don't care how you spend it. Whether you sell things or return them, come up with the silver and pay it back. If it's not enough, use your and May's own dowries to fill it. Otherwise, just wait for the Chen family to become the laughingstock of the whole capital in a month. If you dare ruin the reputation of our manor, I'll divorce you. After saying this, he flung his hand and left. Lady Chen wailed hysterically. Heavens, Lin Yu, you have such a cruel heart to actually harm me like this. My dowry, what am I going to do? May collapsed, crying to Chen Wei. Husband, I didn't know anything. I just went shopping with mother. I only took the things because she said they didn't cost any silver. Now that the fabric has been cut into dresses, how can I return them? Lady Chen grabbed Chen Wei again. Wei, think of a way. Lin Yu likes you so much. Go coax her. If you coax her well, we won't have to pay back the money. Chen Wei flung her off. You might be shameless, but I still care about my face. Lady Chen looked at him with gritted teeth and red eyes. I'm shameless? Who was it that hooked up with Mei before the wedding and came up with ways to manipulate Lin Yu during the wedding? Who caused this disaster? And now you say I'm shameless. If you hadn't broken faith with her first, how would she have called off the engagement? How would our manor have fallen to this state? The Chen manor was in chaos. Lady Chen sold off her own dowry and the accompanying lands, but they were still short by a large amount. Even Mei's dowry was completely sold off. Yet they were still short 5,000 taels of silver. Seeing the deadline approaching, the Marquis gritted his teeth, had the brokerage sell the Marquis manor, and moved his whole family into a small 3-courtyard compound. There were no longer the gardens and lakes of the past, just a cramped and small 3-courtyard compound. But Prince Zhao had had a word with the brokerage, and people in the capital knew why the Chen household was selling the house, so no one was willing to offer a high price. The price dropped lower and lower, and finally the manor was sold for a price several thousand taels of silver below market value. Holding the little bit of silver left, Lady Chen wiped her red, swollen eyes. How can our family live in a place like this? How will I host the other ladies in the future? Where will I put my face? Smack. The Marquis slapped her across the face. If it weren't for the good deeds you and your son did, how would our family have fallen so low? If you dare to stir up any more trouble in the future, then get back to the ancestral home. I didn't care one bit about the spectacle at the Chen manor because I had plenty of things to keep me busy. Ever since the imperial decree bestowing the marriage came down, Xiao has been staying at the Lin house and refuses to leave. She lives with me every day and never wants to go back to Prince Zhao's manor. Sighing, Prince Zhao forced the imperial astronomers to move the auspicious wedding date up again and again. The result was that I'd be getting married in just a month. On the day of the wedding, everyone in the capital came to watch the festivities. Wearing the attire of a princess consort and a phoenix crown, I stepped into the bridal sedan chair. The bridal sedan passed a place that felt familiar. It was the former Chen manor. I had bought it and opened a charity hall to house some refugees and poor people. Inside, people teach them a trade, give them food to eat, and ensure they have a roof over their heads. In that crowd, I saw a familiar face. It was Chen Wei. He was wearing an old brocade robe, and beside him was Mei with her big belly. Mei's hair was unadorned, and she wore coarse clothing, looking just like an ordinary commoner coming to collect porridge. The two looked haggard, with none of their former triumph left. I gently lowered the red veil, gripped the jade ruby in my hand tightly, looked at the tall and handsome Prince Zhao riding on his horse in front of the sedan, and thought of little Xiao, who would call me mother. I gave a light laugh. When the wedding night comes, I'll tell Prince Zhao that the imperial physician my aunt sent me is very effective. I'm fully recovered now and in the future will surely have many children and enjoy the bliss of family. If you enjoyed this story of how Lin Yu turned her biggest humiliation into her greatest triumph, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories of revenge, redemption, and romance. Drop a comment below telling me what you would have done in my situation. Would you have torn up that marriage contract too? See you in the next story.